Caller mics. Please settle down. We'll just take 2 minutes to get wired up and then we'll start, okay? Still then, perhaps you can all applaud for the team of Bahubali. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think you have to keep it a little bit to the side so we can bring it with us. We cannot. We can bring it to the front when it's opening.
I'll take.
Media personnel are advised not to crowd up front. You will get your photo opportunity. Audience, please understand that there is reason for them to take pictures, but they will move away once they get their pictures.
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't seen the front lawn so full up. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much. We've always been here at JLF, which is so special for us, and every year we unveil, launch something which is so special, a book. This year it's going to be the same. This is quite a suspense, and I'm sure that you shall all discover once we are done with the discussion. Anand Neelakantan is the author, and we are going to unveil the cover of the prequel to Bahubali, which has never happened in the history of Indian cinema, at least. So you have to read this book and go back and watch the movie at least 10 times once again to understand the little nuances. So ladies and gentlemen, let's unveil the cover and let's have a round of applause for the Bahubali team and Westland. Thank you so much.
I'm mic'd up. Where is mic? Is it enough to move?
I think it's just coming with you.
There it is, the rise of Sivagami. As you see, the point at which the movie begins, you shall see the unveiling of the wonderful cover. This is by Westland, by Anand Neelakantan. You have scissors.
Table backwards.
So should we? Not loud enough. Should we? करें? चलिए करते हैं. The Bahubali is, the Rana is lifting the table. Can't get better than this. So should we? Let's do it. Go for it, Gautam. Rajamouli sir. Anand. There it is, Bahubali. Lifted once again by Bhallalat Deva. Look at that, Anand Nilakantan's The Rise of Sivagami. There it is. And also that side for people there. There you are, you can take your pictures.
We kindly request the photographers to clear the area, please.
We're going to now start the discussion. Ladies and gentlemen,
please make
please
way.
settle
Please
down.
make way.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. How's the cover? As exciting as the film? Yeah? So it's going up on pre-order, and I want to see all these people who are here this afternoon to buy at least 10 copies each. Thank you so much. And now for the CEO of Westland, the man who made Amish possible, the man who made Ashwin Sanghi possible, and the man who made Shivagami possible, Gautam Padmanabhan. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. He's going to talk about the cover. Here it is.
I don't think I made Shivagami possible. I think it's really all credit to, first of all, Mr. Rajamouli for directing that great film and creating this world. We have had a long association with GLF and the privilege of launching some of our best-known authors here. As our first session at the 10th year of this festival, it gives me great pleasure to announce the pre-order of a wonderful title, The Rise of Shivagami, which is the first book in a series of 3. What is most special about the book is that best-selling author Anand Nilakantan builds on the vision of ACE director S.S. Rajamouli by telling us the backstories of some of the main protagonists that all of us saw in the wonderful blockbuster of a movie called Bahubali. In the book, you shall discover what made Shivagami the powerful queen, the fiery and empowered woman, and many other things which you shall read when you pre-order The Rise of Shivagami. Here's to a best-selling novel as we await the most eagerly anticipated movie of 2017. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gautam. And let's begin the discussion. Of course, the floor will be open for question and answer. But let's first understand a few aspects about this fantastic film and also the book, which is much awaited. You guys all remember the first scene from the film? Who all remember? Raise your hands. Oh, that's a lot of hands. Okay, so the first question is to Rajamouli. Like I said, let's begin from the beginning. You know, the film begins with Sivagami emerging from a cave, holding a baby. You remember all that? Now she looks up at the gigantic waterfall, and if you remember, she looks up and she says, "Oh Lord, don't punish him for my sins." Right? So here is a powerful woman, strong-looking woman. Why is she weak at that moment? I mean, is it because she's nervous about saving the baby or coming out alive herself? Or is it because she has a responsibility? Would you like to know why was she so nervous and looked up, a strong, empowered woman? Rajamouli, take that.
Hello. Before I answer a question, I want to say something. In these times when book reading is going down day by day, when I see so many people coming here for a literature festival, my heart swells with pride. I salute you, Jaipur. To answer your question, Shivagami is never weak. She was weak at that point of time because she was physically weak, because she has an arrow in her back. She's been carrying the baby for 2 days, 2 nights, and she was walking without stop. She was only physically weak. But mentally, she was so strong because on the wake of her death, she's asking something that the baby should live. He should live for the people of Mahishmati. He should live for his mother who is waiting for him. And she's asking the Lord. But she's not asking. She's not begging. She's demanding.
Right.
She's demanding the God that the baby should live. So Shivagami is never weak. She's always
Right.
strong.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Anand Nilakantan, taking from where Rajamouli left, Would you say that your book, which is a prequel, it is about the main protagonist, Shivagami, because she, like Rajamouli says, is never weak. She's the main person in the book. She forms the kernel of the book. She's the fulcrum around which the book revolves. Is she that important, the only important character?
Thank you for this great opportunity. I will answer the question. When Rajamouli sir called me to write this book, it was a real shock for me. In the sense, I usually write, maybe if Rana had called, I would not have, because I write all about villains. First book was about Ravan, second and third was about Duryodhan. First time I am writing about a positive character, a strong character. It itself was a challenge for me. Because I tend to support, if he had let me do, I might have perhaps written a Bahubali from Bijilas and Baladeva's viewpoint.
Yeah.
But once I started, I watched the film many times to understand the character. I found that even though the film is named Bahubali, one of the strongest characters is Shivagami. She is the heroine. At least the film starts with Bahubali. But if there is a backstory, if you are writing, there could not be any other hero other than Shivagami. She's such a strong character. And I felt that the story should say her rise from where she started. It is her journey which the three books will be dealing with. Her rise and how. But it is not only about Shivagami.
Right.
It is about another strongest character is Kattappa. Please don't ask the question. None of us are going to answer it. Another strongest character is Kattappa. So Kattappa forms, this is how he becomes her favorite friend. All these things will come, but a novel cannot work with one or two characters because it is about, it will be, once I finish it, it will be around 1500, 1600 pages, all the three books. It is an epic. The world which Rajamouli sir had created is such a vast thing, you cannot restrict to one character or other.
But then Shivagami, like you say, is one of the main characters and where the story emerges and maybe she's dovetailed, throughout the sequence.
See, this is like Mahabharata.
Yeah, I'll come to that. So
Yeah.
don't reveal the suspense as yet. Don't.
This is in which Shivagami, of course, is a major character,
Yes.
but without fascinating other characters.
True.
It will just become like like Veeragatha. This is not a Veeragatha, it's like an epic. So there are a lot of strong characters in it. Of course, Shivagami is the hero, plus Kattappa, plus there are other characters that is, if required, we can write an epic from each character's viewpoint.
Fantastic. The next question is for Rana.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
And on behalf of a lot of women, I'm really sorry I'm asking this, but I just happen to work with Westland. Otherwise, Rana, somewhere I had read that you were very inspired by Kamala Hassan's Nayakan. How many of you have seen Nayakan? Oh, fantastic. Yes. His total, right from the time that he's a young man and his journey when he becomes an old person. So I read somewhere that you had said that. So the kind of image that you had prior to Bahubali, did you ever have any doubts about playing an old warrior in the film? That's my first question. And then that scene where he tackles the bison, you remember the way it comes menacingly and the way he does it. Second is, how did you prepare for that? So first is about playing this old warrior.
So firstly, good afternoon and thank you for having us here at Front Lawn. And when the man you mentioned is probably one of the finest film actors this country has ever seen, and it's not for this film, but he remains a reference or an encyclopedia for actors across generations, across characters. So yes, there will be a lot that you learn from him, not only from Nayakan, from every single film of his. And was I skeptical about playing old? Yes, but not an old, powerful warrior. So that kept me going. And how else did I prepare for this film? Well, this fine gentleman here had so much detail of what I look like, what I speak like. And in the course of what this film is, I believe that I am him, and I've turned out to be Balal Deva. And My ego just kicked in a few seconds when I stood on that book cover and I was a little taller than it. So I felt like I was standing above Shivagami herself. So it's 4 years of this film and somewhere it's part of me and it'll never leave me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Mr. Prasad, who's produced the film, yeah, you'll hear more from him. Just don't worry. Mr. Prasad, very unique film in the history of Indian cinema. Largest grosser ever, we all know about it. But it takes a lot, you know, when you look at the environment around you, the way Indian cinema is going. What really convinced you to produce this fantastic mythical fiction? What made you do it? What was the point?
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, we are very happy to be here, and thanks to the festival organization and Westland for inviting us. Not many mainstream producers of mainstream and commercial movie producers are invited to a literature festival, so we are happy to be here. So, as far as producing Bahubali, I think it starts with the vision that Rajamouli has. Rajamouli, apart from being a great director, is a very good friend and is a great human being. So, if Rajamouli says we want to work together, we always are ready to work together. And once he narrated the story and we saw what is the scope for the film, we just went all out. And we are very happy to be in the place we are in right now. Bahubali no longer is just a movie. It's we have something known as the world of Bahubali. So we have the novels, we have the comic books, we have an animation series coming out, we have a live action series, and we have a VR experience on Bahubali. So Rajamouli and the team they have created a world of Bahubali. It's no longer just a film. So, and as a producer, I'm proud to be a part of it. And also we have people who have worked hard. Rana, Prabhas, I mean, they have given 4 years of their career for this film, which not many people do it. Thank you.
And it's so much worth its while, truly, as you see the crowd and the kind of response that the film has got. You know, like Prasad was saying, that what is unique is now it's the world of Bahubali. It's not just confined to the film. And I would like to ask Gautam, because there is something very unique about this prequel that we are doing, and he'll explain what is so unusual about this book.
I think perhaps the first time in Indian publishing, we're actually seeing a vision, as you mentioned, the world of Bahubali, being, lending itself to fiction and stories and novels. The only parallel that I have seen so far, to my knowledge, is the Star Wars series, where you have a whole series of novels that have been published, which actually tell stories that even took stories go back even 100 years before the events that you see in the movies. So that way, I think we are breaking completely new ground with the books that we are publishing for the Indian market.
Thank you. Rajamouli, this is a question for you, because while I was walking towards here, somebody said I should ask him this. Shivagami comes across as a righteous woman. वो औरत है जिसको अच्छे और बुरे में फर्क मालूम है. And it becomes very, very clear, that when she chooses Bahubali over Palaladeva to be king. But someone asked me that when she's dealing with that scene, where the Kalakeya king is there, she's so cruel. She's so crude. You remember that dialogue? I mean, all of you, where she says a whole lot of things when he also makes a very disparaging remark about her. There is a dichotomy in the character. She's very righteous, but suddenly she seems ordinary. What would you say about that? This is a question from one of the audiences.
I would say if she hasn't uttered that words, then she would be an ordinary woman. Right. Before the war, there is a custom where the two leaders of the both sides stand together and they see if there is a chance for peace. And that's customary, and when she is offering those terms of peace to the opponent king, he says that let's stop the peace talks, and he says that I'm going to kill both your sons and I'm going to beget you a son whom you can crown the king. And even after that, if she doesn't say that that guy should be killed, then she would be an ordinary woman, which she is not.
Fantastic. Anand, a lot of people say that Sivagami is very reminiscent of Kunti in the Mahabharata. That's why I said, let's take it later. So, would you agree to that? That she is the eternal mother, the mother earth, so to speak. And like Kunti, is Sivagami also a product of her circumstances?
See, if you see that, Kunti is a strong character, but if you read the epics or the history, any woman who has come to the stage of what Sivagami is, I find it, she resembles a lot of strong women in the history. Not only Kunti, she resembles Draupadi also. She resembles Sita also at certain level. It's a different discussion, we can take it later. But she is an epitome of Indian motherhood, which is at the same time, one side she is compassionate, one side she is righteous, one side she is Durga also. So she is an epitome of all, and that is what it makes the character very fascinating. If it is a Western novel, if it's a Western way of looking at it, they show the strength of the woman in her sexuality and other things. But when we are writing rooted in Indian ethos, which the film like Bahubali is, and which I have tried to keep in my novel also, the woman is strong. When does Sivagami become strong? She is the strongest when she is the mother of these two. So that is where the strength comes. That is why she is resembling Kunti, because these are the characters which have been resonating for the last 4,000, 5,000 years. So definitely it will be there. That resonance will be there.
All right. Rana, I wanted to ask you, there is a stage in every actor's life, considering you've not really done film after film and film after film because you've been very busy with this fantastic, wonderful film. But there comes a stage in an actor's life where you feel, what do I do after this? Maybe I'm exhausted, physical prowess, you talk about your emotional, there's a catharsis, where you feel. Do you feel that about Bahubali, ki iske baad main aur kya karu? Or like Mr. Prasad said or Rajamouli said that it's a big world. I mean, we'll keep rotating, like the planets and the stars will keep coming back.
Firstly, there's actually about 4 or 5 questions you asked in that one statement of yours. Now, what I do next, I'm doing another war film, so I'm just continuing to be warlord of cinema in some format. But Bahubali has done a lot for me as an actor, as a human being, as all of that. 7 years ago when I became an actor, there was reasons why I became an actor, to do certain cinema that I wanted to do. And somewhere in the course of how the commercial life takes you in movies, you kind of lose course at some point. And then Bahubali, the day I walked back into that set, it kind of gave me the reason, got me back to ground for a reason of why I actually wanted to be in the movies. And the experience, obviously, of Bahubali is something that will live with me for as long as I take my last breath. But what you learn from something this size, so what next is never a fear, because you can do anything after that. It's 4 years of working with the finest filmmakers, working with the finest actors around, and working with probably the greatest script that this country has ever seen.
Fantastic. Mr. Prasad, I was reading, and one of the greatest directors in Indian film industry is Mr. Mrinal Sen. And of course, he's old school, but he's fantastic, nevertheless. He was saying that when we use special effects, and he was saying it with reference to Hollywood at one time, he said that somewhere you take the soul away from a film, because it's no more a story, and we are a country of oral histories, as you very well know. But your film has become a benchmark today. It's become something which has transgressed every limit. I mean, you guys remember the special effects. I mean, half the film is about that and how well it's done. Tell me something, someone again asked me that, are we now totally self-sustained? Can we do it all here? I mean, we are no more dependent on Hollywood when we look at special effects.
Ideally, I think Rajamouli should answer this question, but I just want to tell one incident. So this was during the production of the first part. We are still halfway during the first part. And a very big studio from Mumbai. So they had come, the top honchos had come to see the film, see some films and see if they would be interested in picking it up. So they asked Rajamouli, what is the USP of the film? So, and they had said, and they also second guessed that, I guess it would be the special effects. So Rajamouli said it's not the special effects. No film is going to be successful just because of some special effects. The soul of this film is the characters, the story, and they're always bigger than the special effects. So I think it's Rabba Bahubali is more than the effects, it's about the characters and the story that Rajamouli and his father have created.
Right.
As far as special effects, I think Rajamouli should.
Yes, why don't you take that? Would you?
In one way, see, the world has become one stage. So, as far as the business goes, as far as the arts goes, as far as the visual effects goes, as you are asking, there is no Hollywood and there is no Bollywood. A lot of Hollywood films effects are done here in India, and we go there sometimes to get some special effects done. So it's a common playground. So no one is dependent on the other, or everyone is dependent on one another. But we needn't be. We needn't be, because like he was saying, the special effects is a tool to achieve what you want, to get your emotion across to the audience. So the whole thing lies in creating a content which is emotional. And we in India are so rich in content. You know, in fact, the rest of the world has to depend on India for that matter. India doesn't need to depend on anyone for emotional content.
This cover, I think, which is there and which was at the focus of this entire session, I'm going to ask Gautam that what was the idea, because it's mythical fiction, this is something which is going to be a bestseller. So briefly about what was in his mind when they were trying to create this fantastic cover, which you must agree is really fabulous.
Actually, again, I think Mr. Rajamouli is better position to answer this, because this has been actually created by the team, his team.
Yeah, the book is titled The Rise of Shivagami. In the beginning of the film, we see her as a all-powerful queen mother. And what was her journey? How did she come to that position? Before we started the film, we had a long sessions of writing questionnaires about each and every character, each and every kingdom, each and every situation. Now, for example, if we take Shivagami, we used to answer questions like, did she believe in God? What kind of God she did believe in? What is her favorite color? Why was green her favorite color? Where did she grow up from? Is she educated or not? What is her education? How does she deal with people? Does she believe in caste system? Each and every question, thousands and thousands of questions, whether it was concerned with the film or not, we were writing the questions. It was like a character study. We were writing because we wanted the artist to understand the character completely from the beginning, from the time of her birth. So as we were writing, very interesting stories, backstories started developing, which is completely not connected with the film. All the backstories were so rich, so engaging. And we were very excited, and we knew we had to bring those stories out. At that point of time, we didn't know how to bring them out. And almost about 8 months or 9 months into the shooting, I was reading this book called Asura by Anand. That was the first time I was reading his book. By the time, in my younger days, I used to read a lot of fiction, like all of us do. Jeffrey Archer's, Sidney Sheldon's, all those books. But gradually, I lost interest in reading in books. One, because I was getting busy as a film director, and second, those books were not moving me as emotionally as I want them to be. And I gradually started losing interest in reading books. I still buy books, hundreds and hundreds of books. I read 1 or 2 chapters and they just lie there. Then I got my hands on Asura. And I was, as I started reading, particularly about the chapter of Mahabali, the graduation of Ravana with Mahabali as his tutor, the scene where Ravana explains that he wants to be an epitome of human being, where he wants to be Dasakanta, I was so moved emotionally. I had tears in my eyes. I was shaken. And that was a book that I was so engaged with that I can say that is the best reading that I have written, that I have ever read. Not just an Indian by Indian author, by any author that I have read. That's the best chapter.
What a lovely thing.
So I wanted to meet him, not for Bahubali. I just wanted to meet him. I wanted to pour all my thoughts about the book to him. I wanted to meet him, and I met him. I was expecting some older man, some old, wise, balding man. I didn't expect him to be so young. And we hit off, and we were talking about it. Then I explained him out the backstories of Bahubali. It was, if you compare with the story that we have written, with the book that is written by him now, the inputs I have given him is very small. And the world he created with the small stories that I gave him was fantastic. And again, when he started sending me the chapters of Sivagami, he sent me 10 chapters at a time. I just couldn't wait. I was calling him, I was mailing him, I was texting him. No, send me the other chapters, send me the rest of the chapters. I just can't wait to finish the book. And by the time I finished the book, it was like what Bahubali the film gave you at the ending. It was a cliffhanger ending. You know, now I have to wait like you, how you are waiting for the Bahubali conclusion.
Yes.
I have to wait for his
Yes.
second book. So I gave him the base of the story,
Right.
but the rise of Sivagami, he has given the wings to the book.
Fantastic. And the emotional question which all of us wanted to ask, and I'm going to ask Anand, does Kattappa appear in this prequel or not?
I think you camouflage that question as emotional question. Actually, you want to know why Kattappa. I'm not going to tell that. Kattappa is a very important character in this book. If you see, almost 40 to 45% is Kattappa. The rest is Shivagami.
Okay.
So Kattappa appears as a very, very important character, and he's who gives the color to the book. Otherwise, it will be very monotonous.
Right. So he's
So
going
he's a very
to be
important
there.
character, and I
And-
hope I will keep the same aura of how we felt when Kattappa in the film, the same aura he gives. No, I
Right.
hope I have kept that in this book also.
Lovely. Rana, for part 2, how have you prepared? How have you pushed yourself further? These audiences, these fans of yours who are waiting, just give them, perhaps a sneak preview of how better this next viewing is going to be for them.
He doesn't like it when I say it too many times, but one thing I have to say is part 1 will look like a very small film once you see Bahubali, the conclusion. Well, what I've done for the film, I've done exactly what he told me. I'm assuming he's happy with me, which is why I'm sitting here next to him. Otherwise, I would have still been on that war ground trying to fight the war. So I think I kind of fairly passed his test.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And now the floor is open for questions. And 10 hands going up. We'll not be able to take all questions, but they will come to you.
Hello? That question will not be answered. Please don't ask that question. That will not be answered.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's all Rana's magic. I just thought that Rana should also read bits from the book. What do you think? That was the suspense, like the Kattappa suspense. So let's have it. Thank you, Anna, for reminding.
Oh, so this is what the slaves do when the masters are not looking. Kattappa had never expected Prince Bijala to come where the slaves slept. He bowed with alacrity, unsure of what to do next. From the corner of his eye, he saw the Prince Mahadeva running towards them from the camp, calling his brother. You dare to throw a stone on your prince and you think you can get away with some casual whipping by your elder brother? Prince Bijala stood with a whip in his hand, glaring at them. He cracked the whip in the air, then wound it around his forearm. Clever, wasn't he, your blasted father? He taught quickly for a slave, and my knife father fell for it. Kattappa fell at Prince Bijala's feet and clasped them with his very life dependent on it. Swami, mercy, mercy! Prince Mahadeva, who had arrived on the scene, tried to drag his brother away, but Bijala shoved him. The older prince waved his index finger to his brother and said, "Stay away, you coward. I will teach you how to treat slaves." These bastards think they can get away so easily from hurting the crown prince of Maheshmati. Mahadeva cried, "Shivappa, run! Run to his majesty and seek protection, or else my brother will kill you." Shivappa hesitated a moment,
Bijala lunged towards him, snapping the whip. Shivappa moved to the side to avoid the blow and began running towards the camp. Bijala kicked Kattappa away, screaming abuse, chasing Shivappa, ordering him to stop. Kattappa ran behind Bijala, pleading for mercy. He saw Shivappa fall down as Bijala closed into him. His brother rolled away as Bijala lashed the whip at him. Shivappa got up and continued to run towards the camp. He swerved to the left where the king's elephant was standing. A chill passed down Kattappa's spine. In a flash, he understood what his brother was trying to do. Shivappa fed the elephant Girisha. The beast was quite attached to his brother. There could be no gentler creature on the earth than Girisha was. And it was one reason why the Maharaja chose to ride this on a moving mountain. But Kattappa knew the elephant obeyed his brother's command, and Shivappa is leading the prince to the beast. Now I will leave it to question, did Kattappa save Bijala or not?
Thank you so much. So, guys, please go and buy the book, because if it can be so exciting, I know that Rana is reading it, but the book is going to be fantastic, fabulous. And now the floor is open for question and answers. We can take one or two if we have the time.
Hello, Anand, so you've been my favorite author for the last 2-3 years. And I just wanted to ask you, like I've read both of your books, Rise of Kali and Roll of Dice. And they're amazing, they're absolutely amazing. So do you think this book has some sort of influence from Mahabharata? That's one question. And the second question is about, so you've always sympathized towards the ones who've been defeated in a battle. Do you think you've done the same with this book? Have you tried to sympathize with the villain in this book as well?
First thing, there is no story which is not influenced by Mahabharata. World over. You read Game of Thrones, you read War and Peace, everything is influenced by Mahabharata, let alone this book. Definitely the influence will be there. All my books are influenced by Indian mythology, Indian folk tales, history and other things. I draw the inspiration from them. Second thing is, you asked whether I will be sympathizing with the villain. I sympathize with each character. When I write a character in a book, for me he is a hero. He might be the villain in the book. But at that particular chapter, when I am writing from his point of view, I will be inside his mind. So if I am writing about Bijala or Balaladeva, I will be inside his mind and I will be thinking how he would think and write. Sometimes I become like that, so I don't allow even my wife to come near when I am writing. I think that answers your question. Thank you.
One more. We have one more question that we can take, but before that I want to make a very important announcement. The book is going to release on 7th of March, and even as you go home or you have access on your phone, you can pre-order it right now, The Rise of Sivagami. Yeah, one more question we have. Just a minute. Someone there.
Okay, I'm a huge fan of yours. Hyderabad ni Chocha Ramni Kosam.
Thank you very, very much. Drink and now speak. That was for her.
Okay, can you please sing Tiyama for us?
First, have you heard my voice? Does it sound like I am somebody who sings? I play warlord in some format. Telugu వాళ్ళు ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారమ్మా ఇక్కడ? Chalo, thank you sir, thank you very much. I'm not a singer, ma'am. I can fight a war for you. For you, I will fight a war. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and may I request, thank you so much, a round of applause for the Bahubali team. Thank you so much, you are a wonderful audience. The media, please proceed to the press terrace for interviews, members of the media. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless. Pre-order and please buy the book on 7th of March when it releases. Today on pre-order. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much to our wonderful speakers today.
Okay.